Welcome to Business Model Fundamentals, Part 1. What is a business model? Why does it matter? And the first 3 key principles. Let's go. Your business model is the single most fundamental thing that impacts your experience of your business, in my humble opinion. What I mean by that is your business model is the thing that ultimately determines how much money you make, how you make that money, the people that you work with, and the level of sustainability, scalability, and impact that your business has. As such, it's a huge decision that most of us take pretty lightly, if at all. A lot of times we fall into a business model by default rather than planning and creating a business model from vision. So this video is going to address that. I'm going to talk about what a business model really is, as well as the 7 principles that I believe are really important to establish at the outset when you're first establishing your business model. A lot of you, especially those of you who are in my retreat program right now, and this is part of it, a lot of you already have a business model, and that's great. A lot of you have already been successful with that business model. You've made a certain amount of money. You have established a certain level of achievement and success. However, if you're here, or if you're even watching this video and you're not in my program, chances are you're looking at making some sort of transition. You want more freedom, you want more fulfillment, you want more prosperity, whatever it is that's driving you. This is an opportunity to ask these questions, to do this deeper work so that the next time you build something, it's more aligned with what you really want to experience. Now, let me just define a business model. This is my personal definition. You're not going to find this in Webster's dictionary. I define a business model as the mechanism by which you turn your magic into money. Turn your magic into money. And the reason I make that distinction is because so many of us, especially if we've fallen into a default business model, are turning our time and our effort into money, and we think that that's what we have to do. We think that the world will only pay us for our time and our effort. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the mindset beliefs, why we think that, and all the stories and strategies we've come up around that, but rather simply to say that is how most of us operate. And I know I operated that way for decades. When I say turn your magic into money, I'm talking about that which comes easily to you, that which is joyful and energy rich, that's not draining. All right, so turning your magic into money. Now here I have developed 7 principles that I'm going to share on my flip chart. But before I share those, I do want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, maybe even comment below. All right, let's go. The first principle, I illustrate it using a star. But before I actually fill in the star and tell you what each part means, I do want to tell you a story. This happened over 10 years ago. This was early on in my consulting business, back when I was doing the workaholic thing. And I had this event called the Women's Success Summit. And I was hosting the event. It was a 2-day women's conference. And I run into my old college friend, Eugenia Kim. Now, Eugenia Kim is a very famous, if you don't know her, hat designer. Her hats are currently, in this moment, you can go to Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and you can see her incredibly beautiful and incredibly expensive hats. And so Eugenia had pretty much made it. We were college roommates, and in college, I was the better student, quite honestly. She was taking my classes so she could use my notes. Like I was, if you had to ask me who was most likely to succeed, it would have been me. But here we were about 15 years after college, 10 or 15 years after college, and she was already doing this hat business, and she was already really successful. She had a $1 million, multi-million-dollar business. So I invited her to my women's conference so that I could interview her for my audience. I wanted to interview her about what is it like to create a business from your passion? How did you do this? Like she was not the best student. She struggled to have her first few jobs. She got fired from an assistant job. I mean, all these things that she went through, and then here she was building this amazing business. And I remember being on stage with Eugenia and asking her these questions. And I asked her this one question. This was a defining moment. I said, Eugenia, what do you do every day? Walk us through your typical day. Eugenia starts telling us about her day. She's like, kind of riffing here. I don't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of, well, I wake up around 10 or 11. I'm not much of a morning person. Then I like to go shopping down in China District or the Chinatown. and I look at fabrics and I check out ribbons and buttons, and then I'll go to the museum so I can get inspiration. And I'm like, wait. I interrupted her. I was like, Eugenia, but tell us about like what you do in the office. And she's like, oh, I don't really go to the office. My people at the office don't really like it when I come because they say I disrupt everything, I mess everything up. So they like it when I'm out being creative and doing what I do best. There's a picture of me where you can see that I'm like kind of upset or something. I've got a bitch face on. And this is the moment where I remember inside of that moment thinking, oh my God, she did what I've always wanted. She's built a business built around her strengths and her gifts and her talents. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here producing this event myself, and I'm stressed out. At the time, I also had the flu. I was on stage back in the day when we did this sort of thing. I was sick, and I was just living on Theraflu or whatever they call it. And here was this woman who didn't do as well as I did in school, didn't do as well as I did in the jobs, and she built this incredible business built around her strengths. And here I was managing all the time for my weaknesses and trying to be better and have more discipline and get more done. That was a defining moment when I realized that I was completely out of alignment with my own gifts, and that Eugenia had built an entire business around her strengths. And it was because she wasn't trying to manage for her weaknesses. She hired that out. She built a business based on vision where she could do her thing, be creative, and have other people take care of her. So this is what I've learned since that basically captures what it is to be in alignment. This is the star in Superstar. So there are 6 pieces to the star, and I'm gonna go through them fast because you've already heard me talk about each one, but I wanna start with this. Whenever you're building a business model, it's gotta align with these 6 things. Number 1, with your identity, with your personality, your preferences, your strengths, your gifts, your talents. Number 2, your purpose, AKA North Star. What you're aligning to that's bigger than you, what's beyond you. Then the 2 legs, think of this as the point leading up into the sky, and then these 2 legs grounding you in the earth, in reality, in the world. Over here are your values, which we've talked a lot about. And over here is your self-care. Another way to look at this is your life force energy, the energy with which you're bringing in from the earth. This is your food, your sleep. This is basically how you stay alive and how you stay physiologically energy rich. And then think about this arm going out into the past. And this is your beliefs. And then this arm going out into the future, this is your vision. And the beliefs mean that you've made peace with your past and that you're not focused on the mistakes you've made. You've let go of the challenges and problems. You're not owned by them anymore. You've taken the lessons and you're bringing them forward into the future to create something new. When you're building a business model, it's gotta be firing on all these cylinders. Because what happens when it is that you've got more energy extending from the system, right? Like a star, it's sending more energy out into the world. You've got more energy to create, more heat and more magnetism to send out into the world that attracts people back. It's easier to do marketing. It's easier to do sales. When these things are in alignment, your business model is gonna thrive more. So this is part 1. Now, the second piece of a thriving business model, I've taken the liberty of borrowing this concept from Jane Atkinson and her book, The Wealthy Speaker 2.0. She was one of my mentors. She's an outstanding coach. She's so knowledgeable. And she came up with this concept of the revenue stream umbrella. And what that means is that your business model has a central focus, which is like the umbrella, and everything that comes to you that's related to this concept streams off of the umbrella into these different revenue streams. And you don't want to have just one revenue stream. You want to have a few different revenue streams. So for example, I'm going to use my own business as an example. Let's call my focus monetize your magic, right? And it's for superstars, right? To be clear, I'm not going to dive deeply into my value proposition, but you get the idea. I work with superstars. I help them monetize their magic. Now, the way I do that is I do speaking, which I get paid for. I have retreats. I have a mastermind group. I also do one-on-one coaching, not very often, but I do it. I have a virtual course, and I also have products. and like books and things like that. You want to look at all your revenue streams, and then what I want to invite you to do, and I'm not really sure if Jane Atkinson talks about this, but I like to look at how these lead into each other. So I know that when I do speaking, it leads to retreats. Retreats lead to people in my mastermind. My speaking leads to one-on-one coaching. My speaking also leads to people buying my virtual courses, and it leads to buying my products. So just by virtue of doing this exercise, I can see that as long as I'm speaking, I'm driving the rest of the business. And that's a really valuable thing to know. So I invite you to map out your business like this and look at what are the revenue streams and what, if any, of the revenue streams are driving this business. You might even also want to take a look at what marketing strategies are driving this business, because I should add YouTube to this, right? Because YouTube is a revenue stream, and it also drives product sales, it drives virtual course sales, it drives all of the above, actually. So look at all the things that you do and where the revenue streams are being fed from. The last concept is ascension and descension. And what that means is that a lot of times we create silos of products. We have product A, product B, product C, product D, and we sell this one or this one or this one or this one. And that's not bad. But what I would invite you to consider is, can you instead do a model where A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D, maybe down to E, upsells and downsells, where these, this is maybe $1 sign, and maybe this is a more expensive product, this is more expensive. See, one of the things that people get wrong in our industry is that we're not like every other industry where you give discounts and lower pricing the more people buy. Like, you might want to give a discount, but really the more engaged people get in your thought leadership and your solutions, you want them to increase their investment with you. You want them to invest more with you and have higher dollar figure items for people who make their way through your processes. And then maybe sometimes you might have some sort of maintenance program or a downsell once people get to a certain place and get certain outcomes, just to keep them in your ecosystem, in your community. So that's the difference between silos versus ascension and descension. And I'm a big fan of ascension, descension, and having one program roll into the next program, into the next program. I hope you appreciated this video, that it was helpful for you. If you're in my Business Breakthrough program, I'm excited. We're on the home stretch here. And if you're not, and you want to learn more about what it looks like to work with me, check out superstarbusinessbreakthrough.com.